Hello and welcome to the Shepherd's Rest Talk.
My next point is about purging the evil from the midst. There's several, 6 times in this week's Torah portion that it says all these things are happening to purge the evil from your midst. One of them is about false accusers going out, those who are lying about their neighbors. One is about the rebellious, the wayward behavior, purging them out. Those who bring folly to Israel, meaning idolatry. When it's talking about the adultery that's happening, idolatry and adultery are both seen pretty much as one, because we're married to the Lord, and therefore when we are in idolatry, it is adultery.
Gotcha.
Whew. And then another is for lying. I love this. One is about lying about the wife, the bride, and I thought, isn't that interesting? It's to throw them out because they're lying about their bride.
That is interesting.
It is interesting because I was like, oh, as a bride of Christ, you can't have people in the body lying about that. They're out, or they'll be, I don't know what that means. Here's what I mean. The Lord's told to purge them out because they bring evil in. We'll just say that. Adultery, and then the other one's for kidnapping.
Okay.
I'm not sure how that goes in, but kidnapping is bad. We don't want to kidnap. No. But we see also references to this by Yeshua in Matthew 18:8 and Matthew 5:30, where, he makes a comment, if your hand makes you sin, cut it off. Your eye, pluck it out, right?
Yeah.
It's the purging the evil. But wow, we see that sometimes in the Greek mind as, oh, cut your hand off. But let's look at it from the Hebraic. Wow. He's saying, keep everything that's good, just get rid of what's bad. Instead of the whole thing goes.
It's the same idea as if you had a cancer spot on your skin. You would cut it out and throw it out. Otherwise, it's going to kill the entire body.
Exactly.
And as the body of believers, the body of the Lord, we need to be careful. Well, He's going to purge out.
We want to purge the evil out from our midst.
Right.
That also is a call for individuals. As we draw closer to the Lord, and this is a month of Elul, which is very important because we should be calling to the Lord to cleanse our stuff out before this new year comes. Cleanse it out. And, there may be things, it talks about this week too. If I make a vow to the Lord and I say, I'm never going to eat chocolate again, Lord, I promise. Okay, fine. Now, for me to eat chocolates, it is a sin. I'm breaking my word.
Because you made a vow.
Because I made a vow. He didn't say don't eat chocolate, but I just made that up and said it. So now, you better believe it. I better not. Because now for me to do it, it's a sin. Not wrong for Julie to do it. She didn't say she wouldn't eat it.
I would never say
no.
that.
No. So,
sorry, but I wouldn't.
No, I don't. I wouldn't either.
I don't think I
would.
What
happens is we say these things and then we get caught in a trap. Well, we have to be careful, and there are going to be things that I might have to purge out of my life that maybe Julie doesn't need to purge out of hers. There are going to be things scripturally that maybe Julie's ready to purge out of hers, and I haven't even come to deal with it yet. There are things like that the Lord will show us as we're each ready. So as I purge something out, the Lord shows to me to purge out. I shouldn't look and expect my friend here or Julie to already have that out of her life.
Right.
Because
that's why we're all working out our salvation daily.
Absolutely, with fear and trembling. So this is a great month to do that. Mm-hmm. We should always be doing it. But with the Elul this month, and with the Feast of Trumpets coming, and Yom Kippur and Sukkot, the fall feast, it's just such a critical time to call out to Him. And,
it really
and
is.
to be ready.
It really is.
And, be ready.
And, I love how, and I think we've said this before, you're either moving forward in that department or backwards.
Right.
So, no one is standing still.
You're never standing still. Never.
Okay.
So for the book of Ruth, we have the Moabite and the Amorite discussion, and that's in 23:2-3. We know that the Moabite, if it's a man, they cannot have their children go into the temple until after the 10th generation.
Right.
But if it's a female, it's different. Because if it's a female, you can marry in, you become the tribe. Like Ruth. Ruth was a Moabite, but she married into Boaz. So she was brought in to Israel and adopted and took on Israel's identity, not the Moabite identity.
I think that's very important for the bride of Yeshua. He's not coming back to take on the pagan practices.
Right.
We are grafted into what he is about.
Everyone who's a bride is a part of the body, but not everyone who's a part of the body is a part of the bride.
Right.
And you know, it's just different jobs that we're given because of different states that we are in our life, different stages we're in our life, and different things that we want. Wow, what a gentleman that he's willing to honor that. We all think we want to be something, but then when we look at the requirements out for it, a lot of times we're like, no, I'm not really interested in that.
Yeah, that's true.
So we have the Moabite woman here. Then we also have in 24:19, it shows where the fields are cut, but you leave the corners for the widows and the strangers and the poor to come and be able to harvest and glean. And that's where Ruth goes out. Of course, you see, that's what I love about the Tanakh, the after Torah for Judges on, is you get to see everything that's supposed to be happening that we learned how to apply being applied or not being applied in the land, right? So she's out there gleaning, and that's where Boaz sees her. Then in 25:6-10, we hear about the Levitical or Levirate marriage. The Levirate marriage basically goes like this. If you're married to a gentleman, that man dies in Israel, he dies, and you have no sons, then what happens is that family will lose the inheritance. So let's say I came from the tribe of Asher and I married into the tribe of Manasseh, and my husband dies and I have no sons. Me and my daughters have no inheritance at all. We can't go back to Manasseh because we married we can't go back to Asher because we married into Manasseh. So my brother-in-law, my husband's brother, would bring me in as his bride, would marry me, and would allow me to have a son to be born. Once that son's born, that son takes on my first husband's name and my first husband's inheritance. And that becomes then our family's inheritance. And that son takes care of me. It's really a great way also. See, the sons were responsible for taking care of the mothers and the daughters. And so you always had someone to watch your back, to take care of you.
It was a family.
It was a family. And it was never just thrown off on society. It was never thrown on society. Society would help, but there was always a core of who was responsible.
That's right.
And took care of them.
That's a lot of what the Torah is about, is taking responsibility.
Right. And we see that this week too with, we are our brother's keeper. We are. I mean, it even talks about lost and found things. If you find something that's your brother's, you don't hide it. And you don't turn around and go,
it's not mine.
Yeah. You go pick it up, you take care of it, you preserve it, and you return it to its rightful owner. That is our responsibility, to watch out for each other and take care of each other. So the book of Ruth, the last part about the Levitical, you see where she goes up and says, would you put your robe over me? Meaning, will you marry me? Will you bring me in and redeem the land? Which he says, I want to, but I'm not the first in line. There's someone before me. So we get to see the entire thing from 25:6-10 played out in Ruth 4, chapter 4. It's the whole thing, and he goes up and all the way down to taking the shoe and spitting in the face.
Right.
So it's just really neat to watch it unfold, because it's truly meant to be lived. That is the end of mine for this week. Please go read it. There's so many little ones, and it's just a lot of responsibility for us. When we don't know how to live, it tells us how to live. We don't have to guess it. So enjoy reading, and we'll see you on the flip side with Julie.
All right.
Shalom.